What's up, in crowd? So today I have a very special guest with me, Jackson Apollo Carpenter, also known as the host of the Jac Apollo Show, which is a political podcast that can be found on Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, and am I missing any other platforms that you're on?
YouTube as well, but
YouTube.
mainly long form on Rumble, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And why did you decide to have a podcast platform that's geared towards politics?
It kind of just fell into my lap, to be honest. I started off making videos about ancient history and kind of alternative ancient history when it comes to kind of breaking the mainstream understanding of our history. And I I've always loved politics at the same time. I've always kind of had a plan of shifting gears into politics and current events, but I just did one stream talking about some Florida politics and what's going on, and that first video blew up like overnight and got like 500,000 views, and I was like, "Oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now."
Right, that's awesome. And are you in school right now for, or like taking any classes that have helped you maybe edit videos or create content or just develop any ideas?
No, not right now. I'm not currently in school. I've just been doing this since I was 16 years old. I started a clothing brand at 16 that did really well. We were on the news for it, and just doing really well. So I've always kind of been in like the creative space in a way,
Got it.
but then I've always kind of geared more towards like the business side of things. So
Right.
I've kind of just taught myself doing all of it. And if you look at my production's pretty shit. I just all I do is film with my Mac laptop and some Saramonic mics and a little basic editing. I don't even do too much to my videos or
Yeah, but
anything.
it's great content. I mean, that's why you're
Yeah.
here today. So, shout out. But what do you call it? Are your parents involved in any like politics, or are they interested in anything like that, or are you surrounded by people who have maybe influenced you to dive into politics or maybe content creating?
Not really. My parents aren't too political. My dad was in the military for 32 years. He spent 28 of that in special operations. So I've kind of seen the ramifications of what politics tied into all of these never-ending wars that we're in. I've kind of seen that firsthand throughout my whole life. And history's always been my thing. That's like my brain absorbs history very well. And I think that's tied to like my father growing up. I'd be World War II documentaries on the TV all the time. And then he'd have Al Jazeera up and Fox News. And my mom was kind of more liberal back in the day. She'd be CNN. So it was always in the background a little bit, but none of them are too actually involved in politics. Like now, my dad a little bit more, where we talk about it all the time and kind of what's going on. But growing up, no, I've just always been infatuated with history, and politics right now is we're creating the history right
Right.
now.
And that's pretty interesting that you say that, your dad wasn't really involved in politics, but now you're able to have more conversations with him about it. Do you think this probably arose because you're so interested in politics and you have all this content creating now of, streaming about politics? Do you think like do your family members watch a lot of your videos? Do you have a support system that is watching, your content constantly?
I No, they don't really watch my content too much. My little sister does. She likes it, but me and my dad, we butt heads on politics all the time. Like me and him butt heads all the time. We got some pretty intense dinners when I go down there, but no, not too much. They're not too involved in it. They just they respect what I do and they think it's cool. My mom is a super supporter.
And you say when you go down there, where are you from?
My parents live in St. Petersburg,
Okay.
Florida right now, but I lived all over, military family. I spent predominantly most of my life in Virginia Beach, and I moved to Florida in 2021.
What is your career right now? Like what are you doing on your own?
Business development for a roofing company, and I've always business is like my thing. That's what I've always been pretty decent at. Like I just exited a company, P7 Studios, which was a social media marketing and videography company I was doing with my roommate, and we did that. We scaled that pretty well last year to like 25,000 a month in revenue, and so I've just always been in business. So, and then now that I'm getting into this, getting into politics and taking this more seriously, I've stopped running my own business because that was so time consuming. So now I just do business development for a roofing company over here in Florida.
Interesting. And do you plan on maybe going back to school for anything?
Yeah, I actually do plan on going back to school. I was a mechanical engineering major,
Okay.
and I just taken a break from it for the last year because I was in my business and doing this. But I'm
Right.
probably
Focus on
actually
other
going to be
things.
starting getting back into taking some classes this summer.
Nice. Awesome. How often are you producing content? Like, are you making content on your own? Do you edit the videos on your own? You said that, it's like the quality isn't, the production isn't really that great. So I'm assuming maybe you're doing everything on your own.
Yeah, I do everything on my own, and I've actually because now after you hit me up to do this, it kind of put the spark back in
Right.
me. Like I haven't
Awesome.
filmed it, like
I love that.
I haven't filmed the video in like the last probably month, just because I've been so focused on the fishback campaign and making sure that that is the ball's rolling how it needs to be rolling for that. So I haven't been filming as much, but I just filmed my first video back on Sunday. That should be posted by tonight.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
yeah.
make sure to take a look at that and
Hmm.
add it to this. And you mentioned James Fishback. So, James Fishback, who is running for the governor of Florida, Republican candidate. How did you receive the opportunity to work for him?
I pretty much saw what he was doing on social media, and I went out to one of his events, and I spoke with, unbeknownst to me, I spoke with his campaign manager while I was there, just chopping it up with him. And then he told me it was like we're looking for chairs for these counties, and he told me to apply, and I sent in my application, and then got chosen. That was about it. I've been doing
Well,
that since February.
awesome. And how has that been going? I mean, is it difficult? Is it going to be stressful? How does that work out, like on a daily basis for you, working for them?
It's pretty It's pretty stressful, I guess, but I'm so used to kind of being in stressful situations. That's where I enjoy to be. I find it more stressful to be calm than I find it to be actually to be stressed out. So I mean, it's a lot of work and it's kind of managing a bunch of people. I have like 78 volunteers here in Orange County that I kind of gotta wrangle, but I love it. I love it.
Do you feel responsible when discussing controversial or sensitive political issues on your podcast platform?
No, I don't. I just speak my mind. If they don't like it, they'll bring it up to me. But Fishback runs on being a free speech absolutist, and that's part of the reason why I support him is because I believe that we should have every right to say anything that we want. That's what our country was founded on. So I haven't ran into too much static when it comes to that. And I mean, I endorse him on my podcast. I make videos about him. I have videos that, you know, have a lot of views that are endorsing him and feel as though, like, outside of just doing the actual campaign work for him, I feel like I've done a decent little job of pushing him on my own platform.
And how do you balance personal opinions with presenting fair or balanced viewpoints? I know you are, endorsing James Fishback and talk a lot about him on your platform. So, do you see your political platform as more one-sided, or are you able to, see all viewpoints?
I see all viewpoints for the most part. I try not to be too one-sided, and there are certain things that I'm not at liberty to speak about the campaign just for confidentiality reasons. But for the most part, I'm pretty I'm pretty unbiased. I kind of pride myself on always being on the side of what I believe is right. Because I just need to be able to look at myself in the mirror and go to sleep with a clear conscience, knowing that I'm fighting for what I believe is right.
Right. And I'm pretty sure you faced a lot of backlash or criticism on your page. And how do you handle that?
I love it actually. I love it. I think it's hilarious. That's one of my favorite things to do is go through all the death threat DMs and the hate comments and whatnot. I really enjoy it. It's probably one of my favorite parts about it actually.
And do you think your podcast content has made an impact on someone?
I hope so. I really hope so. As long as like that's kind of like what I do it for is my father always said because he would do a lot of these public speaking engagements and he would always either start or finish his speaking engagements by saying, I'm not speaking to all of you. I'm only speaking to one of you because one of you in this crowd, this message will resonate and actually change your life. And if I could kind of just wake up one person to what is going on and kind of get them to kick it in gear and fight the good fight to save our country and help reshape our country so our children and our children's children can kind of live the quote unquote American dream, whatever you want to consider that is, but to where we could keep the kind of sovereignty of our nation. And if I can inspire one person to do that, I feel as though that I've done my part.
Right. And who are you inspired by? Are there any like YouTube content creators or any people that you've seen, just discussing politics or history or anything for that matter? Who are you inspired by anybody?
Who am I inspired by? I like I like writers. I like a lot of authors. I take weird inspiration. I don't really look at because I try not to watch a bunch of other people's content because I
Okay.
don't like it to shape mine. I'd say my biggest inspiration is my dad. I would say a lot of his friends growing up around those guys. I look at those guys and they're genuine crusaders. I find people that are on really important missions. Those are my kind of inspiration. Like I'm very inspired by Maria Sol Garcia. You met her, I believe. She was there at the
I did.
Fishback event.
Mm-hmm.
I met her a few weeks ago. Super inspired by her and her story. My father, he, my biggest inspiration. I mean, true story of overcoming adversity. To He's the most gangster person I've ever met in my life. And then some of my other dad's friends, JJ John Jones. He was a ex Navy SEAL, and he went through the ringer when it
Wow.
came to when he got out and just a lot of the things that he's had to go through. I find a lot of inspiration from those type of guys, real people, especially dudes that were special operations guys, because they actually do something that is very incredible. A lot of these content creators, we just sit behind and just talk. This isn't, we have the luxury of being able to do this.
Right.
We're not really in harm's way like that. So,
Thank you for your service. And I know that, based on your videos, you are speaking more of just like a camera, you're commentating on politics. Do you plan on having any like guests on your show at all? Or is it more of just like of a commentator?
I probably will eventually have some guests on. I have a couple of guests that I plan on having on eventually and just doing like a live stream because I'm trying to break into a couple different segments on my show, like just me sitting down, just talking my shit. That's one, but I do want to start live streaming more because some of these videos I'm getting more into just sitting and actually filming myself and just uploading those. And then I want to start actually doing some real live streams again and having people come on and maybe doing some panels in the future.
Okay. And do you think content creators in politics should remain neutral, or is it better to be openly opinionated?
That is a very good question. I think that is a really good one because I mean we have the right to be opinionated, and I think that's what sells. I think that type of being very opinionated and you look at creators like let's say Candace Owens for instance, or like a Nick Fuentes. The reason that they are so big is because their opinions, but then at the same time, their opinions might muddy the water when it comes to moving the needle forward for the fight that we're in. So I think a good balance between the both is healthy. I think that we need people because it makes it fun when people are, talking their shit, throwing their opinion in, maybe, being a little extra flamboyant or whatever when it comes to their opinions. I think it's good, but I think a healthy mix is pretty decent. I try to stay more to the facts versus my opinion. Like you'll know when I'm saying my opinion because it's normally some joke that's gonna get me canceled and fuck up my potential political career. But
Right.
other than that, I try to keep it to the facts.
And are you trying to do this for like to obtain maybe a political career? Do you see yourself like running for any position in the future at all?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I got some. announcements that I'll make. I'm trying to go for some local office here over the next few years and starting to get the groundwork in for that.
Awesome. And you said that you would want to start school back again. Is there any specific major that you would want to study or field?
I'm continue with my mechanical engineering major.
Okay,
Mm,
nice.
knock that out.
Cool. What is your take on Nick Shirley and the Stop Nick Shirley Act in California?
That is, it's so, that's crazy. The Nick Shirley thing, I think Nick Shirley is a patriot, and I love what he's doing when it comes to exposing all of the just the fraud and the absolute corruption that you see in these states. I mean, billions and billions of dollars helping these migrants that are coming here. And I just think that's horrendous. All of the money that's being poured into these people that aren't Americans when we have Americans that are starving. We have Americans that can't pay their bills. We have Americans that are struggling to make their ends meet. And what we're just throwing all of this money into these foreigners that just got here. And him exposing it, I think, is really good. And it's shining a lot of light on all of the wasted money that is being spent. And I think California, fucking Gavin Newsom is a criminal treasonist. And I mean, of course, in California, they're going to make the Nick Shirley Act because all Gavin Newsom does is fraud, embezzlement, corruption. I mean, even during COVID, he shut down every winery in California besides his. And I think Nick Shirley needs to continue doing what he's doing and facing the backlash. It's part of the game. And what's even more interesting, though, is Nick Shirley exposes all of that fraud and corruption. And then there was another guy, Tyler Oliveira, who did the same thing, but in Jersey when it came to these Jewish communities that were doing the same exact thing. And he gets his Patreon shut down. He gets banned from all of these sites and, you know, swept under the rug. But then Nick Shirley does it to the Somalians in Minneapolis. And you have Elon Musk reposting it. You have Peter Thiel. You have all of these right wing influencers, pushing the
Yeah.
message. But then you have Tyler Oliveira, where quite the opposite. Pretty
Right.
interesting.
And do you think it's because Nick Shirley has like a bigger, I guess, YouTube platform? You think he has more viewers? Why do you think that is?
That he's being pushed over someone like Tyler Oliveira.
Yes.
Because there's just a certain group of people that are more protected class. As simple as that. When you see what goes on, even when Nick Shirley endorsed Tyler Oliveira's video, he started getting backlash for just endorsing the same
Right.
exposing of fraud that he did. It's pretty interesting when you see things like that.
And some people get mad about the citizen journalism because they don't see Nick Shirley as a citizen journalist. The other day, when I looked him up on the internet, actually, it shows that he is an activist. Some people see him as an activist, some people don't. Some people think that he's just exposing the truth and doesn't make him an activist for exposing the truth. What
Mm.
is your take on the whole activist thing?
I'm not too sure when it comes to that. I feel like citizen journalist, activist, I'm not sure what he should be classified as because it's definitely journalism, but then it is activism, in my opinion. But he's being an activist to America. He's standing up and fighting for America and Americans. When you have billions of dollars that are just being funneled out of our country, too, that's the thing. It's like all of that money from exposing all of this fraud, a majority of it was, I mean, these Somalians had millions of dollars in cash that they were just bringing in suitcases to the airport. And where do you think that was going? That was going to fund terrorist cells over in Africa and the Middle East. And I know that we're still fighting this war in Iran, and I mean, a war on multiple fronts, actually. But terrorism is still a real threat. There still are people that are trying to take, that don't like us and don't want America to be America. And when you see that millions and millions of dollars are just being funneled to these terrorist organizations, I guess it's not I guess it's not too far off from what our own government does, though. I mean, we still send the Taliban like $45 million a week after we left them $6 billion worth of our gear. So I mean, I I'm not too sure what to classify Nick Shirley as. I mean, I would just call him a patriot.
Okay, and you keep mentioning American values, things like that.
Mhm.
What is your take on illegal journalism, illegal immigration, specifically when people prior to Trump being president maybe have already had their green card, like students. For example, there was a student who had to get sent back to his country while he had a green card for Duke University to play soccer, and he was sent back to his country, because Trump is now president, and they're just trying to get all the illegal immigrants that weren't supposed to be here. So, what is your take on something like that? Do you think it's wrong to be doing that, especially for students here that, may make a difference in American life and were here initially prior for Trump's presidency? Do you think it's fair for them to have to go back to their country?
Not if they have their green card, not if they did it the right way, not if they went through the legal, pathways to obtain their green card to go to school here. I believe that's horrible that he would do that. Even my stepmom, her family is from Colombia. It took them, they just got to the country 4 years ago. It took them 14 years to be able to get the opportunity. Work, I mean, literally they applied for their green card and to get their citizenship, and it took them 14 years, and they got here and they didn't get any handouts. They had to work their ass off. The family helped, but no help from the government. And then you see these illegal immigrants that come here, and they're getting put up in four-star hotels. They're getting put up in or given $5,000 Visa gift cards to be able to spend, and that I can't. I don't agree with that at all. Not when there's Americans that can't pay their bills. Grocery prices are through the roof, and they're no one's helping us. Nobody's helping the Americans. No one's helping, you know, the everyday people that are struggling to pay their bills, struggling to kind of get out of the hole that we've been put in. And there's, look, there was a long period of time for immigrants to come into our country and assimilate and get in. And we were very generous as Americans in our programs to do so. But when's enough? When is it going to be enough? I feel like it's that time has passed, and I think it's time for us to crack down and kind of shut the floodgates for now so we can focus on us and bettering the lives of American citizens. I think once it gets to a point, and I think about it at the same time too, is like I look at a lot of videos from Western Europe and even a lot of the videos coming up from the immigrants from the southern border. It's all men. A majority of it is all men. And that is something that kind of, you know, makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up because where's their families? If they're really trying to leave their country for political asylum because they're in danger, the job market here in America, I mean, so many young individuals in this country get out of high school, get out of college, and they have master's degrees in engineering. They have master's degrees. It's a literally people that have master's degrees in business, there's a job crisis for them. You spend 6, 8 years getting a master's degree and you can't get a job. Engineering jobs are being filled up by H-1B from Indians and Chinese that are coming over here on the H-1B program. And then now landscaping jobs, construction jobs, fencing jobs, roofing jobs. Even if you are an American, you don't have the opportunity to go to college and you just need to get into the workforce to support your family, to support your wife, your kids if you ended up having them young. I mean, these jobs are being taken by illegal immigrants that and sucks for them as well that now those jobs are should be jobs that are probably paying $20 an hour, but
Right.
they're filled up by illegal immigrants where these roofers, I mean, these roofing contractors and these construction companies can pay them $11 an hour. And then now why are they going to hire an American when they can hire an illegal they're going to pay 11. And then if you still take that job as an American, you're going to get paid $11 an hour.
Right. And what would you
And
say? Sorry, not to
yeah,
cut you
no,
off,
go
but what
ahead.
would you say to people that, question and say, well, I mean, nobody's going to want to do these jobs when they all leave. Like, nobody's going to want to maybe work in agriculture like maybe some illegal immigrants are or having these positions. So then who's going to be taking care of those jobs then?
Americans are going to do it. People have to work. People are going to work these jobs no matter what. I mean, I worked blue collar for years. There are people, and I feel like that opinion a lot comes from people that are in big cities that are talking, and those are the people that are, have the New York Times is saying that people in this office, they don't know smaller communities, middle of America. They don't know these blue collar communities. These people want to work. There's a
Hmm.
lot of people that want to work. Everyone wants to be able to work, pay their bills, take care of their family, put some money aside to where they eventually might be able to retire and they don't got to work till they're 75, you know? People, these jobs will fill up. But yeah, these people don't want to work these jobs for $11 an hour, lifting 80-pound bags of concrete all day when,
Right.
Mexican immigrant, Venezuelan immigrant, Guatemalan, Somalian, they will do it because $11 an hour here isn't shit. But then you send $5 back over to Somalia. I mean, that is a week's wage, 2 weeks' wage over there. So
Right. And what opportunities do you think have been presented to you from, becoming a business entrepreneur and radio host, podcast?
opportunities. Hmm. I feel like it's opened. Doing my show has opened up a lot of pathways in politics for me. I believe in a lot of good connections and just connecting with the people with huge opportunities. And then business. It also kind of conglomerates together with politics because I've met a lot of people that are higher up in the echelon of society when it comes to really wealthy people. I mainly worked in the maritime industry, a lot of speedboats for companies that are trying to get government contracts. So I've met some pretty interesting people.
Wow.
So
And you seem very knowledgeable in quite a few topics. Like you just said, you're very interested in history and politics and, things that are important in everyday life. So how do you stay informed? Like what news are you looking at? Are you reading everything just to stay unbiased? Or what books are you reading, that you can enlighten people that, to educate themselves about these important topics?
for the most part, staying up to date, it's just what I enjoy doing. Like I love current events. I love politics, and so scrolling on Twitter or Instagram, and then I see some crazy shit going on, and then I'm like, let me look into this, and then I fact check it to see, and then also doing my show kind of keeps me way more on top of it because I need new stuff to talk about, and I've always kind of done that though. I've always like and I guess it's part of my algorithm is kind of just now like perfectly set up for that. But and then like books, like one book, Creature of Jekyll Island. That's a book I think everybody should read. That's about the creation of the Federal Reserve. That's a really good one. That kind of gives a pretty decent framework of the kind of archetype of our society right now and why things are happening the way they are. But and then it's just tied into wisdom. I've been around. I've lived a pretty intricate life. I've done a lot of things. I've been in a lot of situations. So it's like taking, like, unlike a lot of other people that are kind of really into politics, really into kind of this field, I feel like they've lived more of a sheltered life in a way. When I meet a lot of people that are kind of my peers, where they were like the good kids growing up, they went to school, they, played their sports, they were always kind of like into doing politics, what is it, a model UN, doing stuff like that, always been a part of these clubs, and it kind of kept them where they're on this politics path, but I've kind of came in through a different channel, and I've been in some quite interesting situations throughout my life that have kind of helped shape my perspective. So I feel as though I come in it with a kind of different perspective when I analyze these topics and these situations because I can extrapolate it through a different lens of kind of using street knowledge, I guess. Because when you look at politics, it's just the biggest criminal enterprise on the planet. That's just all it is. So when you can kind of look at it through that lens kind of helps you break down the why a lot of these things happen and the mindset of the individuals that are doing it versus just looking at it so black and white because nothing's black and white. Everything is gray, you know?
Right. And what are some like daily activities that you do, to stay organized or, because you're probably doing a lot of things, especially, trying to be a business entrepreneur, trying to get back to school. So what are some things that you do in your everyday life that is useful?
I try to work out as much as I can. I feel like a strong body is a strong mind. Uh, and it kind of just stems from just growing up. When you grow up and you have like a father that's in special operations, I've kind of just been, I mean, shit I had to go through as a kid with him probably
Locked
be
in.
considered torture nowadays, be child abuse, man. He used to just staying resilient. It's tough, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty disorganized. I kind of just do it. Just
Just
wake up.
spearhead
Yeah, I
it.
just wake up and try to just get as much as I can done. But like daily activities, yeah, I just try to train, fight. I've been doing mixed martial arts my whole life, so do that. I try to do outside of just work. I try to do other extracurricular activities that kind of also stimulate growth and stimulate strong mindset to kind of keep me going.
Okay. And what are the three values that you hold in your everyday life?
Three values I hold in my everyday life: loyalty, integrity, and honor. I think that those are the three big ones for a man. I think that you got to be loyal to the people that are around you that deserve loyalty and integrity because your word is your bond as a man. And I feel as though, especially in politics and in this realm, that means everything because that is lacking immensely when it comes to politics. There's very few people with integrity and very, very few people that will do the right thing when no one's watching. And then honor. I think that's a big one tied into the warrior ethos. Because I think that if you are in politics, and I think that if you are kind of in the realm of America first and you're pushing for, you know, the things that I push for on my show and supporting candidates like Fishback, like other America First candidates, it could get dangerous. And I think that, you know, having that warrior ethos and, honor. You have to honor what you're doing. You have to honor your country, you honor your family, you honor God, and just fighting the good fight.
Okay. And what are your next career or personal goals in life?
My next career goal is I want to be able to monetize my show. I want to be
Okay.
able to, I'm a simple man. I don't need a lot of money as long as I can just pay my bills and get a good bottle of red wine for the end of the night. I'm good. And then, so being able to monetize my show would be phenomenal. And then getting into position of power in the state, being able to be in office to where I could really stimulate some change and kind of start the process of draining the swamp in Tallahassee. Florida politics is extremely corrupt, and I think there needs to be new, fresh people in politics in Florida because I think too many people are so focused on what's going on in the federal level that they're not focused on what's going on in their districts and what's going on in their state. And I think as American citizens, we need to compartmentalize and start focusing on our communities. That's what it was back in the 70s and 80s. People focused on their
Right.
communities. And even the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I mean, that stems from people being so focused on their communities and in their towns and their
Building
cities.
families.
hmm And I think that that's what we've lost. Everyone is so connected with the internet, but then so disassociated from people. And
Yeah,
I
from the
think
reality.
so disassociated from reality that I think that people need to start coming together in their communities and holding their senators, their congressmen accountable for some of the bills that they're voting on. And that's another one of my huge goals is to push that message. I'd say that's probably my number one And that's a lot what my video I filmed on Sunday that should be posted today is about was what's going on in the communities and these districts that's happening, and we need to start fighting. So push that message. Hold our fucking senators and congressmen accountable.
And on that note, what advice would you give to anybody who wants to, pursue a career in politics or pursue content creating or, whether it be politics or any other interest?
Don't go to that island. No, I would say be brief, be brilliant, be gone. That's what big advice. Nobody wants to. That'd be my biggest one. You got to just keep it simple, keep it impactful, and get out of there. Big one.
Okay. And did you have any last message for the viewers?
Everyone, watch her podcast. She's awesome. She pulled up to the fishback event that we threw here at UCF, and she killed it when it came to taking some fire photos and a really good interview with Fishback. And look out for my new episode, and
Yes.
look out for
You
that's
running for
about
some
it.
sort
Yeah,
of.
I don't want to announce it too
Right,
early on,
right.
but that should be coming out sometime in December, and that's about it, guys.
All right. So we'll see him at the top in crowd viewers. Thank you so much, Jack. Watch the Jac Apollo show, guys.
Thank you, guys.